Hi, in today's video I'm going to take a look at cursor warping and moving windows to another display on DWL. DWL is a Wayland version of the DWM tiling window manager. And what I want to do first of all is go through the state of DWL and patches in 2024. So if you search for DWL, you'll come across this Git repository and you'll notice it's been archived by the owner here. And that is because the project has migrated to Codeberg. So if I come across to Codeberg here, what you'll notice is this is the setup, and what I want to do is take you through the patches section. I think it's under the wiki, so if I come to the wiki, okay, so DWL patches wiki. Okay, okay, this is the page I want. So there were actually two branches. There's the current branch of patches that work with DWL, and there are stale patches, which are patches that were written and haven't been migrated to the new code base on Codeberg. So the issue is, if I come across here, these are the patches that work currently with DWL, and you'll see that there aren't actually that many, and a lot of the features that you might have used before are now including these stale patches here. So these are all the stale patches, which include things like cursor warping, mouse follows focus, and that sort of thing. So the issue is we don't really want to use these deprecated patches, but we want to be able to move our cursor from one screen to the other. So what we're going to do is actually use another tool I came across today called wlrctl. And this is a Wayland version of a similar tool on X11. And what this tool does is it allows you to do several things, one of which is actually move the cursor. So if I come across, let me just open a terminal here. Okay, so man wlrctl. Okay, so what you have here is various commands you can use: keyboard, pointer, window, output, and then under each of these commands you've got different things you can do. So like these are the keyboard actions: send a string to be typed into the focus client. And the important thing about this tool is you don't have to run it as root, unlike other tools like ytdo. Was it? There's a tool, I think it's ytdo or something, but that has to be run as root. This doesn't. So you've got keyboard, you can type. You've got pointer actions. So this is, clicking, moving, scrolling. So this is the one we're interested in. Pointer move the cursor. Dx is the displacement in positive right direction. Dy is displacement in positive downward direction. Negative numbers are allowed. Units are pixels. So this is what we're interested in. We've got other options here like minimizing, maximizing, full screen, focus, weight, that sort of thing. So let me just close this window. So what we're going to be doing is actually using this tool with DWL to allow us to warp the cursor and have focus. So we'll be able to press a keyboard shortcut and move this cursor to our other display, and that display will then have focus. So what I'll do is I'll show you what I mean. So what I'm going to do here is switch across to capturing both displays side by side. And the important thing I want you to notice is keep an eye on the blue header bar here, because this is going to show you what's actually got focus. So you see I've got my two monitors set up, and what I'm going to do is press a keyboard shortcut, and the cursor is going to warp from one screen to the other and give the other display focus. So what I'm going to do is press super period, and you can now see the right monitor's menu bar is turned blue, which indicates that it's actually got focus, and you can see the mouse moving around here on the screen. If I press super comma, it's now shifted the mouse back to this display, and it's automatically focused. And the reason this is important is because there is actually a built-in, let me just shift back to the laptop display here. So there is actually a keyboard shortcut in DWL that you can press that will shift focus, and by default it is super and period or super and comma, and that will shift the focus to the other display, but it won't warp the cursor. So what I mean by that is, if you press the keyboard shortcut super and comma, the other display will have focus, but your mouse will still be on this display, which is kind of really weird. So the advantage of this is basically, usually there were two patches that you actually needed in DWL to get this functionality. You needed mouse follows focus and warp cursor, I believe. But this basically takes care of both of them. So what I'm going to do is actually show you how to get this set up. So let me just come back to my notes. So the first thing you actually need to do is install wlrctl, and on FreeBSD this is in the repository, so I can actually run sudo pkg install wlrctl to install it. I'm not sure what other Linux distributions it's on. Let's just have a look. Let's just see if it's on Arch. Should be. Yeah, okay, it's in the AUR. Let's have a look, see if it's in Ubuntu. Yeah, I don't know. Is this got... No. Yeah, I don't know if it's in any of the other distros like Debian or Ubuntu. You might need to build it from source if you're on those distros. But anyway, on with the setup. So that's the first thing to do, is get it installed. Let me just bring this down a touch. So basically, there's two steps to it: defining the command that we're going to run, and then the keyboard shortcut to run the command. So what we've got here is command cursor left and cursor right, and what we've got here is the full path to wlrctl on FreeBSD. So what you want to do, bring up terminal, which wlrctl, that's going to print out the path. So that's the first step, and this is the command that we're actually running. So when we're running this wlrctl pointer, got the keyboard shortcut to increase the text, move 1920. Okay, so where am I? I swear I just had that there. Okay. So we can come down to the commands. Okay, so here's the commands. Yeah. So to move the cursor right, okay, so to move the cursor to the right, what we're doing is we're basically saying wlrctl pointer move 1920. So both my monitors 1920. So that would move this cursor 1920 pixels to the right. So the nice thing about it is, if you run the command and your cursor's here, it's going to appear on that same spot on the other display. And then what we do is we've got the opposite command with a minus. So that's when you're on your second display and you want to switch focus back to your laptop display. That's the command that you'd run, and obviously you need to adjust those values if you have a different size screen. So those are the commands that we're going to be running, and this is how we define them in our config.h in DWL. We got these two commands here: cursor left, cursor right. So as I said, each of these things in double quotes is a space separated argument. So we're running wlrctl pointer move -1920, so that's cursor left. Cursor right is move 1920. Okay, so then what we've got is the actual commands down here. So what we've done is the default, there's this default command here, focus mon, and the default key binding is mod and comma or mod and period. So what we've done is I found you can't just delete this command. If you try and modify this existing command and remove focus mon and rebuild DWL, it'll throw an error saying unused command. So what we're doing is we're actually modifying this default command because, as I said, what it does is it just shifts the focus. It doesn't move your cursor, which isn't much help really. So what we're doing is we're changing it from mod key to mod key and, like control. So we can press mod key and control and still use the, the command. But what we're going to do is add our own version here so that we can just use mod key and comma to move the cursor to the left screen, and mod key and period to move it to the right. What you'll notice here is in this thing we've got WLR direction left and WLR direction right. I suppose it would be nice to use these, but the advantage of just using it, putting in the values is it's a lot simpler, and you can position stuff exactly where you want it. So what we've got basically here is mod key and comma, and it's going to spawn cursor left or cursor right, which is the commands that we've created. And as I said, once we've got that set up, we can warp our cursor. So if I come back across here, show you this again. So this has got focus. I press mod period. It's now switched across to that screen. Mod comma, and it's switched across to this one. And if I press, so I've got the cursor here. So what I did was redefine those keys to the focus mon. I changed to mod control and comma or period. So what I'll do now is I'll press mod control and period to shift the focus to the other screen. And what you'll notice on what will happen is the blue bar on the second display will indicate it's got focus, but you'll see that the cursor still stays here. So you can see it's still got focus. That's now got focus. The second screen's got focus, but the monitor is still on this display. So now if I press mod control comma, you'll see that display the focus is now back on this monitor. So the advantage of using this wlrctl command with DWL, we don't have to worry about patches. We don't have to, do any patching and perhaps potentially use deprecated code that's going to break or something because it's in the stale branch. We could just put, just install the wlrctl command, 2 lines to define the commands, and then 2 lines to define that. But I said we need to change the default focus mon command to override it by using, another key here, another mod key. But as you can see, the advantage of this is I can warp the cursor. So here's the cursor. I press mod was it period, shifts the cursor across and gives the window focus. And if I press mod and period, it shifts focus back. So the next thing I want to do is actually show you moving a key to a screen to the left or right. So if I come across here, it's actually shift, mod, and period to move the screen the window to the right display, and shift, mod, and comma to move it back left. And the important thing to notice with this is when you run this, the cursor won't move. So if I do this now, I'll move this across. I've just moved that across, so you should see here that's now moved across. And I've given this focus here, and if I now press shift, mod, comma, it's going to move that back. Okay, but what I want to do is show you, here's the cursor. You can still see here's the cursor is still on this screen. So what we can now do is use our keyboard shortcut and come across here, and you can now see that's got focus, and I can move it back, move the cursor back. So this is really, really important for your workflow, being able to move windows across to another monitor, and how you focus and how you actually warp your cursor back and forth, because otherwise it's a real pain. You know, you could move the window across, but then you haven't got focus. You're still focused on here. So bang, keyboard shortcut, move it across, and then move it back again. So you get the idea. So we just come across to the laptop like that. There we go. So that's wlrctl. So let's go through the actual steps we went through. As I said, not difficult. Install the package. If it's not in your repo, you're going to need to compile it yourself. It doesn't need to be run as root. Yeah. Then we just got the 2 lines, our command here, and the keys. So we need to change 4 lines in the keys. We need to override the default focus mon thing here by adding the control modifier as well. And then we add in our own commands here to warp the cursor to the left or to the right. So hopefully that will make using DWL a bit more bearable on a multi-monitor setup, so that you can easily move windows back and forth and also warp your cursor. And as I said, the reason why we're doing it in this way is because the patches are what are called stale. So here we go. Many patches previous, let me zoom that in for you. Many patches previously in regular use do not cleanly apply to the current code base. So you've got to follow the migration on Codeberg. These stale patches and descriptions are stored for the time being in stale patches. So you can see here, these are the current DWL patches. And I said, there's not a lot that work with the current code base. And these are all the old sort of patches. So you might want to be a bit wary about using these, because they may not work properly with the current version of DWL. So that's why we kind of want to find some workarounds which doesn't rely on patching DWL to get the functionality that we want. And we managed to do that with this wlrctl command. And as I said, have a look at the man page, man wlrctl. So the options that you got here are keyboard. You can use a virtual keyboard. You've got the pointer, which I've shown you. I've only looked at the pointer. I haven't gone into any of the other functionality because I was just trying to solve this particular problem and didn't want to get sidetracked, you know. So you've got window top level output. So what you can do is you can do output list, and that will list your displays. I haven't seen a way to list the windows as yet. So you've got keyboard type, pointer, click, move, scroll, top level actions. And I think what these can do is these can actually match particular windows. So there's actually a syntax for matching a particular window, like a Firefox window, a terminal window. So you can say, you know, minimize Firefox, maximize, full screen, focus, find, wait. And then we've got output actions, list, top level actions. Okay, so have a look through this. But for the particular thing that I was needing to fix, works like a charm, doesn't require any root privileges, and yeah, you know, nice to find a little tool like here. So here's some examples. You know, type hello world, move the pointer, you know, other things that you can do. Wait for MP3s, yeah. Dismiss desktop notifications when MPV becomes full screen. So yeah, there's lots of stuff you can do with it, but this is only for wlrctl based Wayland desktop, so not for GNOME. So that's the issue with GNOME, is that it's pretty much a closed shop. You only have sort of extensions written in JavaScript that break every time you update GNOME, and you can't really use any third-party things with it, so it's very limiting. So that's why wlrctl and Wayland is a bit more flexible in what you can do with it, and how you can set things up. So hopefully this will, you know, make using DWL a bit more bearable or multi-monitor setups, and I'll put links to all this under the video.